The sentencing of a victim of sexual assault in Saudi Arabia has put the spotlight on women's rights. Gallup finds a majority of both sexes think women should have more freedoms. Earlier this week, King Abdullah of Saudi Arabia pardoned a young woman sentenced to 6 months in prison and 200 lashes for being in the company of a man not related to her, a punishable offense in Saudi Arabia. This was after the young woman and her companion were raped by several men who are now in prison for their crime. The plight of this young woman has drawn negative international attention on women's rights in Saudi Arabia. But Gallup finds that a majority of Saudis support freedoms for women, despite many restrictions that are imposed on them. In Saudi Arabia, women are prohibited from driving, but Gallup finds that 66% of women and 55% of men think women should be allowed to drive a car. Now, even though women cannot operate vehicles, they can in fact operate an aircraft. Not because the law allows them, but because it doesn't necessarily restrict them either, a loophole, which has allowed a select few to fly. There are also certain limitations to women joining the workforce. But Gallup finds that more than 8 in 10 Saudi women and 3 out of 4 Saudi men agree that women should be able to hold any job for which they are qualified. In May 2006, Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Sultan announced plans to allocate 1/3 of government jobs to Saudi women. Saudi Arabia's 5-year development plan aims to increase the percentage of women in the workforce from 5.4% to 14.2% by 2009. Now, women and men also have different legal rights in Saudi Arabia. Gallup finds that a large majority of both Saudi men and women think women should have equal legal rights. But equal rights is different than the same rights in this circumstance. The same legal rights could mean women would have to share their earned wages with their husbands, which they don't have to do now. A disadvantage to women if the same rights were enforced. Equal rights could mean the worth of a woman's word be given the same credence as that of a man's. As it stands now, one man's word is equal to the voice of 2 women in a court of law. Finally, one of the most outstanding pieces of data is the fact that 2/3 of Saudi women and 52% of men think women should be able to hold leadership positions in the cabinet and national council. Now, although the situation involving the young Khatif girl in Saudi Arabia has drawn a lot of negative international focus, Gallup data finds that for the most part, both Saudi men and women support greater freedoms for women. And now more women than men in Saudi Arabia pursue higher education, and the number of females active in the business sector is on the rise. I'm Yasmin Vasugian, and join us again to hear more voices from around the world.